Hi guys and welcome to this session by Intellipaat. RPA is one of the hottest technologies in the world right now. Most of the companies have either adopted or are in the phase of adopting RPA in their environment. So in today's session, we'll talk in depth about RPA and RPA developers. But before we get into all of that, please subscribe to our channel to never miss an update from Intellipaat. Now let's talk about today's agenda. So we'll begin today's session by answering what is RPA. Then we'll talk to you about why you should consider your career in RPA. After that, we'll talk about the various roles and responsibilities of an RPA developer. Then we'll talk about the different tools that you should learn in order to start a career in RPA. After that, we'll talk about the various salaries of an RPA developer. And once we have done that, we'll show you an introduction to an RPA tool which is UiPath with a very simple hands-on on it. Also guys, we do provide end-to-end training on UiPath as well as automation anywhere. So if you're interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now, let's get into the session.
Why do we need RPA? Now let's talk about some prominent companies, guys, some prominent research companies who have given their verdict about what they feel about RPA, right? So let's go ahead and start with the first company, which is McKinsey, which says around 22% of the IT jobs are going to be affected by the RPA technology in the coming years. Now this basically means that either the human workforce is going to be reduced or the way we work these days, it's going to be changed in the coming years. Right now, this is 22% is a huge number, guys, considering the number of jobs which are related to IT or computers these days, right? So this was the first research that we found. The second research is by Forrester, which says the RPA industry can grow by $2.1 billion by the year 2021. So this is the amount of growth which is there in the RPA sector right now, right? Moving forward, now let's talk about the benefits of RPA. So we saw that, okay, RPA is growing. There is a possibility of RPA replacing human workforce or changing the way the human workforce is working today with the computers. But what benefits do we get when RPA replaces the human workforce, right? The first benefit that we get is automation, right? So automation, not only your work is being replaced by machines, your work can also be done faster and in a more accurate manner, right? Because if you talk about humans, guys, we guys can commit mistakes, right? If we are given a process again and again, if you are implementing the process, there might be a possibility that we might commit a mistake while following that same process again and again. But with a computer, it's not like that. You code your computer in a way once and it will always execute with the same efficiency and same accuracy at all the times. And obviously when we talk about accuracy or efficiency, computers are always way ahead from humans, right? So therefore automation is one benefit that you get from RPA. Second thing is you save money. Now because you have lessened your human workforce who are going to work on that particular task and you have replaced it with machines. Now, the first thing is you will not be paying any salary to your machines, right? The only thing that they will be consuming is electricity. So you're going to save a lot of money as a business owner if you implement the RPA technology in your company. Third thing is it will help reduce human intervention in tasks. Now, when we reduce human intervention, it basically means now we can apply the same workforce, the same human workforce for better tasks, and these tasks which are repetitive in nature could be handled by the RPA technology. And the fourth thing is for creating all these RPA processes, there is no coding required. And this is probably the best feature or the best benefit of the whole RPA tools or the technology itself, right? That there is no coding required for creating a process in the RPA paradigm. Moving forward, we've discussed why RPA is important and what are the benefits for it. Now let's go ahead and start with the topic which talks about what is RPA exactly, right? So let's first decipher what basically RPA means. So RPA basically means Robotic Process Automation. Now let's understand all these three words one by one. So when we talk about robotic basically means when a machine mimics human action, it is called robotic, right? So any machine or any software which is mimicking human actions would be called robotic. The next term is process. So a process is when you follow a sequence of steps to complete a task, right? These sequence of steps vary from task to task. For example, if you have to open the calculator on your machine, the first thing you have to do is click on start, click on the calculator icon, and then your calculator application is visible. So right, so these are 3 steps for you to view the calculator application.
Just a quick info guys, Intellipaat does provide end-to-end training on RPA tools like UiPath and Automation Anywhere. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now, let's get back into the session.
Similarly, you can also call it as a process of opening the calculator app on your computer, right? So this is what a process is. And then we have automation, which basically means executing any task without human intervention, right? So if you were to combine all these 3 words together now, I can say that when a machine mimics human actions by performing a sequence of steps without human intervention, it is called RPA. Right? So this is the basic definition of what RPA basically means. Moving forward, now let's talk about the most confused topic that you might say that, Hemant, we understand what RPA is, but as far as we see, or what you're trying to tell us is RPA is nothing but automation, right? But automation was there from way back. It was way back from the Industrial Revolution in probably the starting of 1900. So what is new in RPA? So let us discuss this. So guys, when we talk about automation and RPA, there's a thin line between the two. And what is it, that line? Let's discuss that. So when we talk about automation, automation always involves either an invention of a new technology or a machine which can do your task, right? Now, for example, let's talk about the cotton mill, or let's talk about how clothes are woven, or how is cotton made in a cotton mill, right? So there are multiple machines which work to basically reduce the human intervention. But the thing is, we invented those machines to carry out those tasks. Correct? So whenever you deal with automation, you're always coming up with a new technology or a new software which is going to solve your problem. When we talk about robotic process automation or RPA, it does not involve any invention or creation of any new software which will be required for solving your problem, right? To solve your automation problem. You have only one tool, which is any RPA tool that you would be using, and using that tool you can create as many automations as you want for your particular task, right? So the only condition that should be satisfied for an RPA task is that it should be repetitive in nature, and we should be able to do it, or the machine should be able to do it by following a process, right? So if there are a sequence of steps that can solve that particular case, or that particular query, and it is repetitive in nature, that it has to be performed again and again, your RPA technology would be the first thing that should come to your mind for solving that particular thing, right? So this is the first difference, that in automation you create or you innovate technologies or machines that will solve the problem of your automation task. In RPA, you use the RPA tool to create a process which is going to solve your automation task, right? So let's also take one example to understand the difference. For example, now imagine before we invented computers, we invented calculators, we used to calculate numbers manually, right? So if I had to do a 2 plus 3, I would do it either on a paper or in my mind, right? But when we came up with computers, we came up with calculators, then we basically invented a machine to solve our calculations problem, right? And now the calculator becomes an automation product. But now the problem was that even in calculators, if you had to do some big calculations, even in calculator, you had to type in the formula or the values so that you get the result. Now I'm saying I can even, if there is a process to basically get a value out of a formula, I can say that I can create an RPA process on top of that, which basically means that on this calculator I can create an RPA program which will be able to press the keys on this calculator to get the desired outcome, right? So what I'm doing is I'm basically adding a layer of my RPA software on the calculator invention, which was basically an automation, right? Which was created in the automation paradigm. Now, for solving the human intervention part, which came along in the calculator, I can use RPA to basically hit the buttons so that no human intervention is required. I only have to pass in the values that I want. I'll just write it on a piece of paper, or I'll type it on a Word document and I'll send it to my program, and my program will automatically hit the right buttons on the calculator and give me the answer.
Just a quick info guys, Intellipaat does provide end-to-end training on RPA tools like UiPath and Automation Anywhere. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now let's get back into the session.
Right? So this is the first difference between automation and RPA. The second difference is if you're creating, say, a software, right? If you're creating a machine. So anyways, if you're creating a machine also, you'll have to create a software for that machine, right? So programming knowledge is required to basically give yourself a product for automation. But in RPA, the most awesome thing is that you do not require any programming knowledge to create any automation product, right? So that is the most awesome thing about RPA. Third thing is in automation that it may require human intervention. That is, for example, in the case of calculators, we still needed human intervention to basically punch in the numbers in the calculator. But in RPA, the whole task or the whole idea about the RPA technology was to remove human intervention completely. Right? And that is why you do not require human intervention when you are working with RPA processes. All right. So guys, these are the differences between automation and RPA.
So why should you take RPA? So we've just talked about why different companies would be wanting RPA. It saves costs, it's accurate, it's doing a lot of different good things for them. But why should you as a professional choose a career in RPA? Let's answer that question now. So there are various different perks that RPA will give you if you follow a career in this path. So the first one is trending. So RPA is a very trending technology, which means that there is a lot of demand for RPA developers now. And since there are a lot of demands for RPA developers, there is a lot of job openings, lot of good paying jobs. And that brings us to the third point where it says it's highly paying and the giants are hiring. So if giants are hiring, let's say the giants which are hiring, I can name a few, like IBM is hiring, Capgemini is hiring, and they are paying huge amounts of money to these RPA developers to come and work for them and create this automated environment where things run very fast and very smooth. So that is one of the greatest perks that RPA gives you. It gives you a lot of opportunity for jobs. It gives you a lot of opportunities to work for the big guns in the industry, which is IBM, Capgemini, Deloitte, and others. And it will pay you a lot. So if you're looking at the career perspective financially, you will be paid decently well so that you can have a very good career. Moving ahead, RPA also gives you versatility when choosing careers. So RPA, since if you take into account any industry will have a set of tasks which is very redundant and very repetitive. What it creates is an option of RPA entering there and automating the processes there. So which means basically you have an option to go into retail and consumer and do automation there. You can move into IT industry and work there. There is healthcare also now taking RPA into their hands. There is banking and IT, which is very, very, very crucial for RPA right now, as most of the people who are working with RPA are now moving towards banking solutions. It is the next biggest thing in RPA, that they are moving it into banking solutions because there is a lot of transactional data that is there and RPA can aid in that. And final perk that RPA will offer you is a rapid career growth. Since there's a lot of demand and a lot of people are paying, if you do a great job, then automatically you will be getting a lot of career growth in there. And since there are not many professionals out there currently, because this technology is rather new, so what it creates is, if you even get like minimum of work X, like let's say 4 or 5 years into it, you'd be one of the most experienced professional in there, and you'll be working there with a lot of money and a lot of exposure into different kinds of working environments, and this will basically give you a lot of career growth, right? So moving further, who should learn RPA? Now you'd be wondering, like, I have this technical background or I have this profile, should I be learning RPA or not? So let's break it down into 3 simple departments and where I think people should be pursuing RPA, where it will be most beneficial for them working as an RPA professional. So I've broken it down to 3 different domains. The first one will be the freshers. Now, what I would recommend for freshers is to follow a job in RPA, because there's a lot of different openings for freshers in RPA. These freshers should not be expecting the salary same as the other two domains, that is the automation testers and the people who are looking to become a solution architect. But there is a lot of scope for freshers out there to work and to get different jobs related to RPA. Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat does provide end-to-end training on RPA tools like UiPath and Automation Anywhere. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now, let's get back into the session. The second one is the highest paying one in my opinion, and these are the automation testers. So the people who are currently the automation testers in the industry have a huge opportunity to work as an RPA professional if they're looking for a change. An automation tester is a profile. Automation architect is a profile in RPA which pays a lot, and these jobs generally require experience as an automation tester before, because they know the environment that they are working in. So automation testers, I would recommend you to definitely learn RPA, as this will blossom your career like you cannot imagine. And the third one is for the people who are aspiring to become solution architects, CTOs, people who will be working and finding out solutions to different problems. You should learn RPA in order to know that what is the underlying technology that is working in your Fortune 500 companies or whatever startup that you are following for. You should understand which all technologies work well together and you can integrate, and you should understand the underlying technologies. That's why I mentioned solution architects. Another one which I did not mention here, but I would like to give a special shout out, is to the people who are in the banking industry, as banking has been adapting RPA like crazy right now. So people who are in the banking will be looking for automation there, because there is a lot of redundant tasks there, as there is a lot of transactional data. So RPA is something that will revolutionize the banking industry. So if you are from the banking domain, I would recommend you to learn RPA. And what are the different skills that is required to be an RPA developer? So there is not one particular set of things that you need to know as a prerequisite to be working with RPA, right? Because it's a drag and drop tool which you can learn very easily. But having said that, you basically would need a very good analytical skill and problem solving abilities in order to solve the real world problems when it comes to you. The second would be knowledge of any programming language would help you miles, because even though it's just a drag and drop, these drag and drop functionalities are basically coded, right? So if you have the knowledge of coding or any programming language, you know the structure, the way to structure your program, and that would come in handy when you are working as an RPA developer. And the third would be the ability to integrate the different technologies which are different kind, right? If you have technologies which are of different kind, and if you have the ability to integrate them, this is one of the key skill requirements of working as an RPA developer. Now, as I've mentioned down here, that RPA tools are mostly drag and drop and very, very, very easy to use. So it's very easy to learn RPA, but the functionality that it gives is next level. Moving ahead, what are the different roles which are offered in the world right now as an RPA developer? So I've mentioned 3 here, which are the most asked about domains in RPA as a job. If you go at any website like Indeed or Glassdoor or anywhere, there you would find these 3 roles in abundance for RPA developers. And let's talk about the different roles and the responsibilities that comes along with those roles, right? So the first one we have on our hand is the process designer. Now, process designer is one of the roles which are there for the RPA developers. So the responsibilities that comes along with an process designer role is basically you are responsible for understanding the current process which is going on. You have to understand what is the current process. Then you need to come up with a very efficient way of conducting those processes and integrating RPA with that. So you need to design a process for that and how it can be more efficient in any way. And the final thing that you need to do is once you have designed those processes, you'll obviously we will try to put it in your production environment and try to make it work. There will be people who will be doing analytics and different stuff related to it, right? They will come back with feedbacks. This is something which we can do, which can implement things faster. And during the development and testing phase, you will be needed to make those specific changes to your process and make it more efficient. So these are the basic responsibilities of a process designer, that he needs to be involved throughout and make the entire process more efficient. So that is the first kind of role which is there for RPA developers, which is a process designer. The next one is an automation architect. Now, in my opinion and all the research that I have done, this is the highest paying RPA job which is out there, which is an automation architect. it generally comes up with a constraint that you should have some experience as an automation tester somewhere. So because that gives you a zest of how things work in those environment, and that makes it much easier for people to work in the role of automation architect. So the responsibilities that the automation architect will be taking on is, first of all, he needs to build those RPA projects using the different RPA tools which the organization is using. So he need a knowledge of different RPA tools based on which organization he's working for, and come up with the project and implement that thing, right? Second is automation architect is a member of the core automation team. Hence, he or she is required to communicate across the teams to make sure the process is in sync. Again, it's similar to DevOps. We'd say like people need to be communicating across very smoothly and efficiently to know how the tool is working and where the tool is at the current stage, so that there is no discrepancy and things can work smoothly. And the third thing that automation architect is expected to do is to use the experience in the programming knowledge that he has using the testing softwares that he has used before to solve the real world problems, and he needs to solve the day-to-day problems as well. So if you are an automation architect, you need to solve day-to-day problems. There might be bugs here and there and different things coming up daily. So you will need to solve those real world problems based on the experience that you have, and work with it, right? The next role that we have is a very key one, which is production manager. Now, production manager is a very, very important role. His job is to ensure that the entire process is being triggered as it was intended, as it was decided, as discussed in the meetings all the time with the client or whatever. You need to, his job is to ensure that everything is working as it was intended to be. Second one is his job is to handle all the exceptions that comes out. So since he'll be discussing with the clients what is the intended product, there would be exceptions where the product might fail, or the testers wouldn't have known like this would be the outcome if someone enters this particular test case into it. So his job is to handle those exceptions as well. And then if he sees any bugs around, he needs to tell the automation architect that these are the bugs in your project, that whatever you have created, so you need to fix that. And then finally, the last job he has to do is to review the analytics, see the process, and if there is any scope for improvement, go and tell the process designer this is the way things are working, but this if we follow this particular methodology, we might go more efficient. So his job is to look at the analytics, review it properly, and then look for scope for improvements, and report that to the process designer. So that is the basic role of the production manager. So the next question which comes into mind is which RPA tools to learn. Now, you'd be wondering, okay, we've talked a lot about different jobs that are out there, different companies are hiring, RPA is the next biggest thing. Which is the tool that I need to learn in order to be in the market, in demand right now? So there are, in my opinion and the market research that I have done, according to Forrester, there are 3 RPA tools which lead the market right now, and those are the 3 tools that you are seeing on your screen right now. First is UiPath, second is Automation Anywhere, and third one is Blue Prism. All of these 3 tools are the current market leaders, and everyone is looking for these tools to be in your resume when they are hiring a RPA developer. So let's talk about all of these tools one by one. So UiPath is a very, very, very simple tool, which is very easy to learn. It comes with a visual designer. It has a very simple user interface. It is very easy to learn, and it is highly effective. And another good thing that UiPath provides is a community edition. So you can, if you are a lone person who is trying to learn, you can just download it for free. You will get 2 bots for free, and you can implement the entire process that you want and see how things work, learn the entire tools, see different test cases, and like properly master the tool. So from learning perspective, in my opinion, UiPath is the best as it is free. Moving to the second tool that we have is Automation Anywhere. Now, Automation Anywhere and Blue Prism, both of these tools are very, very reliable and highly scalable, comes with a lot of different functionalities. Automation Anywhere has this option of bot store where you can go and get different programs which are pre-made for you. So you don't even have to make many programs. You can just download it from there and use it on the go. It is high. Both of these tools are highly adaptable to different changes. But the problem with both of these tools is Blue Prism though is not free altogether. There is no free version for Blue Prism out there. So even if you want to learn, or even if you want to see how the tool looks like, you need to pay first fully, and then you can go on to work with Blue Prism. It's fully licensed. When it comes to Automation Anywhere, you can get a free trial for some time to basically learn the tool. So if you're looking to learn, in my opinion, two of the tools which you can take into account is UiPath and Automation Anywhere, as it doesn't cost you anything to learn from there, and you can put that on your resume. And all of the companies which are hiring are looking for any of these three tools. Some are looking for some particular tools. In some cases it will be UiPath, somewhere it will be Automation Anywhere, somewhere it will be Blue Prism. But most of the companies that are hiring just put this information that they want anyone who has hands-on experience on UiPath, Automation Anywhere, or Blue Prism. That is the tool that they are looking for. Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat does provide end-to-end training on RPA tools like UiPath and Automation Anywhere. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. Now, let's get back into the session. So in my opinion, if you are looking to learn, go for UiPath because it's completely free. You can work a lot with it, or you can go for Automation Anywhere. You get a 30-day free trial. You can use that and you can learn along, right? So the next question that comes into mind is, okay, I learn RPA. What is the average salary that I'll be getting? So what is the average salary across different roles and different countries that we've seen? So I've seen the job roles of across different domains that we have in RPA. So production a manager is there, and then there is automation architect, and all of those salaries I've seen. I've spread across different websites, and I've made an average out of it of what people are paying right now. So if you are a fresher and you are in United States, you are looking at something around $80,000. And if you are in India and you are a fresher, you are looking at a number around 7 LPA. Mind you, this might fluctuate according to your role and experience. So fresher is somewhere, I'm saying 0 to 1 year or 2 year of work ex, and an experienced developer is somewhere across 2 to 6 years of work ex, right? So if you're an experienced developer in the United States, then you are looking at an average salary of at least $125,000. And if you are in India, you are looking at a number around 18 LPA, which is a huge number for any developer out there. 18 LPA in India is a very high number. So if you needed any motivation to learn RPA, this is it. There is a lot of money in it, and there is a lot of different big fishes in the sea who are hiring. So you should start learning RPA today, in my opinion.
So let's talk about UiPath now. Let me introduce you guys to UiPath. So guys, UiPath is, again, like I said, it's an RPA software. It's an RPA tool which can be used to create RPA automations, right? It offers a community edition which can be used for people like us who are beginners, who want to move into RPA technology for free. It is available to us and we can practice all we want on our computers, right? The UiPath company was founded way back in, I think, 2005, but they came up with their RPA tool late in 2013. They have various offices. They have offices in Tokyo, the US, and many other places around the world, right? Moving forward, now let's talk about how you can install UiPath on your system. So let me help you with setting up UiPath on your system. So here are the steps which you can follow to basically install the UiPath software. The first thing that you have to do is basically go to this link, that is uipath.com/developers and /community edition download. Once you go to that link, you'll basically see a page like this, right? Now all you have to do is fill up a form. So you have to fill the first name, the last name, the email address, and all these fields. Once you fill all these fields, just click on request community edition, and that will set you up, right? That will just basically send you a mail on your email address. So once you click on request community edition, it will lead you to this page, which basically will say thank you for your request. And now you will receive a mail with the installation steps that you can use to install your RPA software. Now guys, once you receive the mail will look something like this. All you have to do is click on download the UiPath Community Edition, and this will start your download for the UiPath software. Once the software is successfully downloaded, we'll just click on the file, and let me show what the steps follow after that. Alright, so once the file has been downloaded, just click on the file and it would open this screen, right? Now this is the installation screen, guys. Let it be here for like a minute or 2 minutes. Once the installation is done, you will get one more screen where you'll be asked to enter the email address. So let's wait for that screen. Alright, so once that installation is complete, you will see this screen. Just click on Activate Community Edition and enter the same email address which you entered while registering for the product, right? So I registered using this email ID. So let me just put in that email ID. And once done, just click on Activate. This will activate your product, and now you can successfully use UiPath on your system. So guys, this is how the UiPath Studio basically looks like. I'll get into more details. Let us just come back to our slides. All right. So guys, to summarize what all we did, we went to this link, we filled out the form which was mentioned on the web page. We received an email with all the information and the download link. We clicked on that and then we installed UiPath Studio. We got a screen in the end where we clicked on Start Community Edition Trial, and then we entered the email address with which we registered on the web page. All right. Once that is done, your UiPath will be all set up and ready for you to use. Moving forward, now let's talk about our first program in using the RPA technology on the UiPath Studio. So let us switch back to our UiPath Studio, which looks something like this. Awesome. The first thing that I have to do is I will click on process. So when you click on process, just name your process something. Let's name it as Hello World. All right, and now your project is getting ready. So UiPath is downloading any dependency which might be required for your project, and once this is done, you will reach the main page where you can start creating your project. All right, so let's wait for this to end and then we should start with our project. Awesome guys, so this is your main screen. So the first thing that you would do is create a process. All right, so there is an activity called sequence. So just click on activities and click on search activities and click on the search bar and just drag and drop the sequence activity over here. So basically the sequence or activity specifies all your processes. So like I said, you have to design a sequence of steps that are going to basically create your project or is basically going to solve that problem at hand, which which the problem that basically you want to solve using RPA. All right, for simplicity's sakes, let's do a very simple program first. So what I want to do is I want RPA to basically send me a message box which says hello world. Let's see how this works out. So we'll type in hello world and that's it, right? And now let's run this automation. All I have to do is click on sequence and click on the run button. The moment I click on the run button, you will see that the UiPath Studio will minimize and your automation will start executing. And this is what I get. I get a hello world message box. The moment I click OK, the automation would end and I would reach the UiPath Studio. So this is basically how you get started with UiPath. Now let's create a little more complex problem. Now let me show you how to do anything in your computer. For example, say I want to click on the start button. How would I be able to do that? So all you have to do is in activities, just search for an activity called click, right? Just drag this activity over here. Now it says indicate on screen. Just click on the indicate on screen button. And now you would have to select where you want to click exactly on the screen, right? So let me select that. So since I do not have anything over here, what I can do is I can also start delay, right? So if I click on F2, I'll get a 3 seconds buffer time. So what I'll do, I'll exit this presentation screen and I reach over here. Now I want to click on the start button. So the way I can do that is go here, and as you can see, a small box will appear on the start button, and I'll just click over here. Now, as you can see in the UiPath Studio, it recognizes, okay, so here it has to click on the button. And all I'll do right now is click on sequence and click on run. And you can see that my process will automatically click on the start button. Now, this is just one step, right? Now you can do a sequence of steps as well to really understand the power of UiPath Studio. For example, say I want to go to Intellipaat.com website. I want to search for a course called RPA. Go inside that search page and then click on the RPA course, right? So let us do this manually first to see what all we'll have to do. So first, my program should open Intellipaat.com. Once the website is open, it should click on the search bar, type in RPA and then click on search. Once my program will click on search, I will get this page which will have the course, and all I have to do is click on the course and that will basically open the details of the course. So this is what I want to do using my RPA program. So let's see how we can do that. So first we'll have to search for an activity called open browser. So I'll search in open browser. I'll drag and drop it over here. And what I want to do is I want to go to www.intellipaat.com. Okay, so by default the browser that it will open is Internet Explorer. So let me choose Chrome over here and let's see what happens, right? So let us first execute only this part and see how it goes. So I'll click on run and it opens a website for Intellipaat. Awesome, guys. So this is what I wanted. Now let's go ahead and do the next step, which is basically searching for RPA in the search box, right? Now guys, a catch over here, when you're using Chrome, you basically have to install an extension for Chrome, which would basically be for UiPath, right? So if you want to go to a particular address, that would work. But the moment you want to, get some say I want to click on the search bar, so it has to recognize the search bar in the browser. For that, you need to install an extension in Chrome, right? I'm not going to go over how to install that extension. What I'm going to simply do is choose IE over here. So with Internet Explorer, you do not need any extension. All you do is you select IE and you just click on run, and now you'll be able to see that your Internet Explorer will open and it will have the Intellipaat website opening automatically. Okay, so this is the Intellipaat.com website and it opened on the IE Explorer and the automation exited, right? So our next step now is to basically search for a program, right? So I'll have to search for an activity which would basically type in this particular search box. So what I would do, I would search for an activity called type, and here I find type into, right? Just drag and drop it over here and now indicate element inside browser. Just click on this and click on the search bar. So this is where you want to type. And what do you want to type? You want to type RPA. That's it, right? So let's see if this automation gets executed successfully. So I'll just click on run and now the web page opens and the RPA is typed automatically over here. Awesome. Now the next step is to click on search. So what I'll do is I'll search for an activity called click, drag and drop it over here, and now indicate the element inside the browser, which is this search button. Click over here and now it knows how to click on the search button, right? Just let's close all the browsers which are open, and now let's try to run this program again. So if I click on run, so basically it opens an IE browser, clicks on RPA, clicks on the search button and then exits, right? And as you can see, it has searched, now reached the RPA page. Awesome. Next step is I have to click on the RPA course. So again, I will drag and drop a click event and now I will choose the RPA course to click on. Awesome. So this is also done. And this is as easy as it took only 2 minutes for us to create this kind of an automation. Had you been creating this automation in probably an automation coding tool like Selenium or Python, it would have taken around 15 or 20 lines of code for you to do that. And obviously over here, you did not require any programming experience. It was as simple as just dragging and dropping some elements and getting your automation being able to run, right? Now, one thing that you might have noticed is that it ends pretty quickly the moment it does everything, right? So what we can also do is we can delay the automation to end by specifying a timer over here. So probably I want the automation to run for 3 more seconds after it does everything. Okay, so I've entered a delay for 3 seconds, and now let's see how it works. So I'll just click on the sequence, click on run, and now let's see how it goes. So it went to Intellipaat.com, searched for RPA, clicked on the search bar, clicked on the course, waiting for 3 seconds, and then exited the automation. Awesome. So this is what we wanted, and this is your first program in RPA, guys. I want you to practice it, right? Get a hang of all the tools of or all the elements which are there in UiPath.
So here UiPath Orchestrator Dashboard. So as of now, it is robot, jobs, process, assets, queues, and schedules. These all are 0 because right now we don't have any process published to Orchestrator. So how to connect Orchestrator with UiPath Studio? Now we have to make sure that UiPath Studio can communicate with the Orchestrator. So how it communicate and how we can and what we can configure to make it a connection between the UiPath Studio and Orchestrator. So the first step is the robots. You have to go to first robot here. Here you need to create your own robot. So here right now it is in blank, and from the plus button, the add button, you have to click on and the standard robot. There's a two robot like floating robots and the standard robot. So as of now, you have to select on the standard robot only. I'm going to click on the standard robot. Here it is asking me a machine name, user domain, username, password, and type. So here for the machine name, you have to enter your machine name. So how you get your machine name? You can go to your C drive, properties, and here is my robot name. Top 5411. So you need to copy your computer name in the machine and going to paste this, and it is searching for. Here it will show you the provision machine. Yes, you need to select this one. Now in the name, you can write any name of your robot. Let's say suppose your robot name is Robo123. Domain name or the username. So username of your system when you log in. So the same username you have to write here. So for me it is what dev. Password of your Windows password. Now you're able to see here type. In the type it is development, attended, unattended, and non-production. So this is nothing but a license type. So as of now, when you open the Orchestrator URL, so this is only for the demonstration purpose. So UiPath has only provided for the development license only. So only 2 development license. That means only robo you can create. And if you're able to see this attended, unattended, so at these license we don't get this license in the demo version. So attended is nothing but when you have the attended license, that means the human intervention will require to run your bot. That means your bot is going to be run in your machine only. Unattended, that means your bot is going to be deployed to some other machine, and from that machine you can run. So as of now, we are having the development license, so I am going to select this development only, and then click on create. It's creating now. So here you're able to see this robo123, machine name this, username, type is development, and major thing is here, still it is disconnected mode. That means still the orchestrator need to be connected to the UiPath Studio. So the next step to connect your orchestrator is you have to go to the machine first. It's loading now. So here the robo, the same machine name, it appears in the machine automatically because we already created this, our machine name here. It's the same machine name. Once you create, it automatically pop-ups in machine tab. And now it is showing me installed version unknown because it is not, still it is not connected to the UiPath Studio. That's why it is not able to get the current version installed in the current version of the UiPath which is installed here in your machine. Now select this, click on this add button, standard machine. Okay, now you have to go to this view option. Here it is created a machine key. If you were to see here robots, it automatically creates your machine key. That means it is unique to your robo and unique to your machine only. In this case, it is giving me a password kind of thing. So we have to copy this password or machine key and associate this password to the UiPath Studio. So how to associate this machine key to UiPath Studio? So if you go to the start menu and you will be able to find the UiPath robot, the UiPath robo. So this is nothing but a robo. Once you install your UiPath Studio, you will get a one UiPath robo in your machine by default. So it is a main agent who is responsible for transferring the data from the UiPath Studio to the orchestrator. So it is a mediator between your UiPath Studio and orchestrator. If I click on the UiPath robo here, actually it is showing me connected because I was already connected this one before. So okay, so now go to the settings one here, settings, and you need to give now it is asking for the orchestrator URL. So here I'm going to copy this URL, orchestrator URL, and machine. Oh, I'm so sorry for machine. Okay, fine. Copy. Now I'm going to paste this. Now let's try to connect this. So it is showing me an error message. The given header was not found. That means you have to only write the URL up to .com, not machine. So let me remove this. And let me connect again. Now it is connected, right? And the status here, you are able to see this connected and licensed, right? Let me close this one. Here the status becomes green here. You will see this green, and the username is also the green. That means this username is active now, and status is available. Now my orchestrator is connected to the UiPath Studio here, and if you see the robo, UiPath robo here, if you click on this and in the down, you're able to see here the connected one. Now this robo now ready to communicate orchestrator, like UI means like UiPath Studio, whatever the code you are developing in the UiPath Studio. Once you publish your code, it automatically will go to this orchestrator. So, and from the orchestrator, you can schedule your bot. If you're able to see here the schedules. So right now I don't have any package here. So I need to publish my package to list down here. So now the status, so this is the two-step, first for the robots and second is the machine. So once you able to connect this, you can easily publish your task and you can schedule your task. So this is the steps. So let me try to publish one task and I'll show you what exactly the package is and how it creates the package, right? So let me go for the UiPath Studio and I'll do some operation here, something little operation, small operation. I'll just message pop. I'm going to save this and how to publish your whole code to the orchestrator. So here you're able to see here the publish button. Once you click on the publish, it is asking for orchestrator. So and the new version, it automatically creates a version, incremental version. If you in the second time, if you change, if you update any code in your UiPath Studio, and if you try to publish this, it automatically creates a new version here. Right. So let me publish this. It is publishing now package. So here the project published successfully and the version is this and the name of the process is blank process. Let me click on the OK button here and let's check in our orchestrator. So I'm going to refresh my browser. Now in the process, you have to click on the process. Right now, no data shown found. So in this case, you need to add this and now the package name. And this is the drop down. Once you select the drop down here, you will get your package here. This is the package whatever you have published on that. So I just selected on this package and my package version is automatically pops up and it is showing, it is also asking me, and it's a mandatory thing, environment. You have to create an environment. So what exactly the environment is? So in the programming world or in RPA, so there could be 3 or 4 staging environment. Like first stage is your development environment. Second stage is your testing environment. Third stage would be your UI environment, and fourth stage would be your production environment. So this is the common terminology. Once you once you go to the any RPA domain or in the programming, so these are the common staging environment. So we have to create our environment. Let's say suppose we are currently in our development environment, so we need to first create our environment and then associate our package to that particular environment. In this case, I need to create an environment here. So let me go for creating the environment. So there was some because in earlier version there is separately they have a tab for the environment, so might be they have changed something. So okay, fine. So let's go to the process here. Now click on the add button. Now you have to select your package name. Version is loading. So version is loaded here. Now I need to create here my development environment, DEV. So no data found here. Just a second. Because this, like this orchestrator is common to everyone. It's the public domain. So a lot of people are working on this domain, in the same domain. So in the robot section, if you go to the robots and there's the environments here, you have to click on that particular environment to create the environment and then click on the add button. Now I'm going to create my environment as a dev environment. You can write the description. You can create the dev environment. I have to select this, update one. Now my environment has been created. Similarly, you can create your test environment. So let me go for to the process. Now I need to associate my package to that particular environment. This version. Now it is showing me dev and test. So let me select this dev environment and create this. Now my process named as blank process, which is associated with my dev environment. In the same way, if you go to the schedule here, you can simply schedule your bot. So, and here the schedule, name of the schedule, like suppose giving description schedule, process you need to schedule. I have a process and automatically it is associated with the dev, the blank process underscore dev. You have to select this one, and the time zone is, it is asking, like why it is asking for the time zone, because maybe your bot is going to deploy to some other countries. Suppose they have some different time zone. So as per the different time zone, your scheduled time will be different, right? So that's why it is asking me a time zone here. So let's say suppose my bot is supposed to deploy in some time zone which is something like, let's select the West Central Africa. Now similarly, like in your mobile also, you can schedule your alarm and all the things like calendars, everything. Similarly, we can schedule this. So this is the minute, hourly basis you can schedule, daily basis you can schedule, right? If you want to select this 1 minute, so if once you schedule this 1 minute, I'm going to create this. So it is going to be scheduled. So in the few seconds, I just in the next second run would be in the few seconds. So after 1 minute, it automatically starts running. My bot is automatically starts running. So let's wait for the 1 minute. So this is overview for the orchestrator, how it works and why basically the orchestrator is required. Because basically like orchestrator is only, see this bot is already executed and the message appears, right? Hello. So this kind of thing, like in the orchestrator, this is very high level thing. And very first stage is connection, and sometimes it's a bit tricky, and many people have queried that we are not able to connect the orchestrator with UiPath Studio. So if you follow these particular steps, definitely you can connect, and you can at least you can upload your packages and schedule your bot. So this is the steps, and the jobs, assets, and queue. This is again the very important and very interesting section in the orchestrator. I'll quickly explain, and later on, like we'll go into. And also one more thing, you can also create your own environment in Amazon Web Services, like in so you can create your own infrastructure in Amazon, and in AWS server you can schedule your bot and deploy your bot to AWS server. So it is absolutely free for a 1 year subscription. It's totally free for the 1 year. So assets is very important part in the robotics, because assets is nothing but like let's say suppose you are going to log in your Gmail account, and which is having some username and password. So in this case, like the username is okay, but password is sensitive data. So for the sensitive data, how you pass your sensitive data in your code? The one way is you can write in your text file and then read the text file, your password, and then insert into the UiPath Studio. But it is highly unsecure. In this case, anyone can take your password. So the second case is you can store your password in database and then connect your database and get the password from your database and apply in the UiPath Studio code. Again, it is not recommended because you are storing your password in database. And there is n number of ways how to get your how to set your password, but the secure one is the assets. So all the secure thing you can write down, you can simply type in assets. So I'll give you example here. This is the name and type and value. So name of your assets, that means let's say suppose username, right? And the type of your data type in username would be definitely in the text type, right? And value is suppose, let's say suppose Ravi, this is the value, this is the username. So here you're able to see this username and the value here. This is my value. Now I need to create a password here. So in credential, if you select the credential, it automatically asks for the two things, username and password, and you need to create a separate username, right? Username 123, password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, okay. So here the password is automatically created here, so, and in the secure manner. So later on, like when you how to consume this name value, this parameters, right? From the UiPath Studio, we have an assets. If you go to the UiPath, here the assets is, if you type the assets, and here you are able to see this get assets. So this is nothing but a method. You can simply drag and drop, and you can here the get assets. If you select, it is showing me an error because the argument is not supplied in the get assets. So here we need to supply the argument as the assets name. So for the assets name, we have, suppose this username is my assets, right? The name of the assets is the username, and I want the value Ravi Raj, right? So I need to give here the assets as yeah, in the string, sorry, username. Yeah, here is the username. Username is something like ML casing here. Username, and you need to, the output would be going to be in stored in the variable. So you need to create some variable here. Suppose X is my variable. So once you, I'll try to get the value here in the message box X. Now again in the message box is always going to be a string. So I need to convert this to toString. Now let me, okay, delete this one. I'm going to save this. Let me execute this. And the one recommendation for you, once you start developing in your UiPath Studio, like first you have to debug your code with by clicking on the debug, right? Rather than just running on this, because you are not able, if any errors comes in, you are not able to trace what exactly wrong in. So let me try to debug here. Datasets is executing if in the right set, so the usernames pop up, right? So similarly in your code, you can securely access your key value pair, that is name and value pair, with the help of the assets. So it is highly recommended to use this. So one more thing I want to discuss here, you can configure your values. Once I saying that configuration of your value, that means let's say suppose here I'm going to give a message box and writing something here. This is nothing but a hard code thing. Test, right? I'm writing some value which is hard coded in my code, and it is highly not recommended, because in programming, in robotics, while you are developing the code, every variable should be dynamic, like should be dynamically stored in configuration file or assets. The reason behind, suppose you need to change some value parameters, so in this case you have to go to your code, explicitly change your code. So it is not recommended to change the code change the value inside the code. You have to simply go to the assets, or you have to simply go to the configuration file, and you can simply change your variables over there instead of going to the code. Because like if your process is huge and there would be multiple modules in the process, so in that particular modules, and suppose you are using the same variable, same values in the multiple modules, so in that scenario you have to go to the multiple modules and change explicitly from the code level. So it is highly not recommended. So instead of this, we can change in this one single point in the configuration file or in the assets. I'll show you the configuration file also, which is provided by the UiPath itself. Like you can easily use that particular configuration file, and you can easily make your code dynamic. So let me delete this one because it is always popping. You can easily disable or remove it. I'll show you the configuration file, and once you go to the start menu here, you will see here the robotics enterprise framework. So every code which governs via this RE framework. The short form is RE framework. UiPath is always recommended to use the RE framework, but it is up to you. You can utilize this RE framework, or you can make your own custom framework. So I'll give you what exactly in the RE framework here. Once you click on the RE framework, it automatically creates a bot or XAML file here, Robotics Enterprise Framework. I change my drive to D drive UiPath. Now let me create this. We want to save my file. Yes, it's creating. So RE framework is nothing but a template. So that particular templates you can utilize in your code, in your project. So it is recommended by the UiPath. So this is nothing but a template, like RE framework template. So the first stage, what exactly? So this is, like your entry point of your project. Once you let us suppose you are developing your code, how to start your code, how to start your development. What would the first stage, right? So the first stage would be like, suppose before once your bot starts working actual work, so you need to clean your environment. Clean your environment, that means if any applications is already open, any instance, any notepads and etc., you need to first close everything, because we don't want to, like, let's say suppose if any applications is open, right, and your bot is running, so maybe it could be like, like bot can fail because of that unwanted applications is already open in that. So you need to first close or kill your all the application to make the clear path for the bot, right? And the second thing is, you need to initialize your configuration values. So I'll show you what exactly the configuration values, which is very much similar to your assets name value pairing. So once I say the name value pairing, that means the name would be the username, value is your username values. Similarly, like password and the password value. Let's say, for example, if you want to open a Google website, so in that case, like URL is equal to www.google.com. This www.google.com would be the value, and the URL is your name. So this is nothing but a name value pairing. So in the initialization stage, it will pair all the name and name values pairing, and it will return an object. And that particular object you can utilize in your whole process. I'll give you a small demo so that you can easily understand what exactly I am talking about. So once you go through in the initialize stage here, I'm going to click on this. So the stage here it is system error is nothing. That means it is allocating the system error equal to null, or system error is now initializing the blank initial stage, right? Second stage is if first run now this is the read configuration file, reading the configuration file, right? So let me show the configuration file. Okay, fine. The UiPath and the RE framework, right? Here. In the data folder, if you go, this is a config file. Here, they have categorized settings, constants, and assets, right? So settings, constant, and assets here. So if you're able to see, this is like, like the predefined variables. You can change, you can modify as per your process. So, so this is the initial configuration file where you can map your name and value. Similarly, in the assets, you have seen that name and value, right? So let me try this one. Like suppose if I want to open Google, so in this case, I need to write simply URL or anything, like name could be anything, and the value would be. Similarly, you can configure your all the values here. So the advantage is, once you want to change, if suppose I develop my code process, it is google.com, some someday like Google has changed their URL or something like that. So in this case, you can simply update your URL in the configuration file, and you need not go inside your code and update all the values from the UiPath Studio, right? You can simply change your code value here, and that's it. So this is the biggest advantage of using the configuration file. So before this, I just want to show a demo. The demo would be like the simple demo, trying to open a website, any website like Flipkart or Amazon, and that particular URL would be going to be reside in the configuration file, not in my code. So for this, so in the initialization state, it maps all the name value pairing and it will return an object. If you go to the arguments here, so here in the arguments, you are able to see this out config equal to this. That means this configuration is my object. This is the data dictionary. So data dictionary, the concept of the data dictionary is mapping the name value pairing. So that means, let's say suppose in my configuration file, name and value here, name is 1, value is 2, 3, likewise, right? So in this case, what exactly the UiPath Studio will do with the help of this configuration file, it will pair your name and value and store in one box, or you can say store in one object. So let's suppose this is a box or object. As a layman term, I'm using the box, right? Inside the box, you will get this name and value, name and value pairing, right? So that means in that particular object, once, and the output would be the object. This is the output is configuration, config out. This is my output, right? And further in your code, you can utilize this by using this config my box. It's nothing but my box or object config, and then you can pass the parameter which is name. Name, that means here the name is 1, right? The double string name, 2 string. So you will get an output. Let's say suppose I'm getting I'll get the value in the output x, and you will get x equal to 2. So in your whole process, you can use this config, and you can simply write this config name is 3 and 2 string. You will get store in some other variables. So answer would be 4, y equal to 4. So I'm going to create an object and which contains all the name value pair, and then it will return an object, and that particular object, that is nothing but a config, and we can utilize this config in our entire process. So quickly I'll show you the demo and how to create an object. So this is an initialization stage.xaml file here, right? And inside the framework. So I just utilize this, I just copy this, initialize all settings.xaml file. Just remember this. You can simply copy this, and let me go to my main task. Let me create one task here. Go to the process and just demo RE framework. Initialize all settings.xaml file. So you have to go to the first the sequence. I'm going to now for the invoke work file. So let me select on this, and where was the XML file, which is on, okay, here it is the framework. Inside this is initialize all settings, right? We need to call this one. So let me copy this and initialize all settings. I'm selecting this initialize all settings. Okay. So in the import arguments, what exactly, so here if you're able to see, it is asking for the input configuration file. I'm going to initialize, I'm going to make an object, I'm going to make a box which contains a name value pair. So for this, I'm going to call the initialize all settings. For initializing all setting, what would the parameters which is required? It requires where is the file, where is the configuration file. So because like with the help of that particular configuration file, we have to create the object. So we need to give the configuration file location, right? So it is asking for configuration file location. So my configuration file location is inside the data, and this is the configuration config dot. Here I have given the config file, and it is asking me the config sheet name, right? So there, if you remember, there was 3 sheet here: settings, constant, and assets. So let me give the settings and constant variable. So there will be like constant, not constant, settings. In settings we are going to point. It means in whatever the values in the settings sheet, it will map all the values in the settings, and output is my like config. It will going to give the config. Config has been created. So I'll give the path location of the configuration file. I'll given the sheet name of the configuration file. Now I'll going to get this configuration return object, right? Because this is the out, right? So that means out, that means this initialization all settings will give an output which is named as config. So this is my final output, and in the further we have to utilize this config. So now once I run this bot, it creates an object that is config. Now we have to utilize that particular config. So for this, like I just want to open a URL. So for open, if you want to open any web browser, so we have an activities which is known as open browser. You need to simply drag and drop here, open browser. Automatically asks insert the URL here. So if you go for the hard code, you will simply go to you can simply write here www.google.com, right? We are going to utilize our configuration. So in this case, I need to enter in the settings sheet, I need to enter here the URL, name, and the value would be www.google.com. So this is my name. We need to like remember this name. We need to copy this, because like we have to pass the name. So name it is a case sensitive, like if you write something, this is the URL, and you are writing some in the smaller case URL or URL 1 or 2 3 whatever the thing, like in that case you will not get the value, because this is like it is going to search with this particular URL name. So let me copy this, save this. Okay, so now my configuration file is now having the URL here, and for getting the value configuration file, and how to get the value, this is nothing but a config file, automatic config. This is my output box or object which is having the key value pairing, and I'll pass it's simple to pass, like in the double quote. I need to copy this URL and to string. So it will go to the initialization stage. It will pair all the things, key value pairing, and I'll get the object as a config, right? Change this and then I'll going to utilize this. So let me execute this, and I'll going to execute in the debug mode. So in the debug mode, in the right side, you will observe that demo frameworks executed, initializing. See here, the config file somehow, like I have given the parameter config, but I don't know why it has not saved that particular config. So let me again save this config here. Close, save this again. I need to check in the import. So config is there, right? So this is what the debugging steps, like, like the easiest way. So here you are able to see this. The message box successfully prompts me with www.google.com, and try to, now I'm going to okay, and it is going to launch in browser, right? That is www.google.com, right? So before starting any development, you just simply go to the configuration file. You can configure your name and value pair and start from this. I all how to read email message and download email attachment. This would be the first topic, and the second would be the flow chart. With the help of flow chart, and what's the difference between the sequence and flow chart? I'll show you an example how to log in, how to capture the web elements, capturing web element, and basic of flowchart, and what's the difference between flowchart and sequence, and capturing, or you can say the recording of web application. So first of all, like, this is, like, email thing is very important, and it is everywhere the email utility is going to be used. So I'll show you first thing, like how to read an email and how to download the attachment. So what would be the prerequisite for this? If you think, if you want to read some email from your Outlook, there will be some specific subject line that we need to pass, because like, if I want to read every email, it's not the feasible thing, because you have some certain amount of email you want to read, and the second thing is that you have to filter with some subject line, some specific subject line, and that email matches with the specific subject line, then we have to download the attachments of this. So this is the basic workflow that I want to show you and want to demonstrate this. First part, we open UiPath. Let me create one more sequence here. So as of now, I'm showing all the things in the sequence, and later on I'll show in the flowchart. And basic difference, why sequence and why not flowchart, and why flowchart, why not sequence. So there is some basic difference between the sequence and flowchart. Sequence is nothing but, as the name suggests, if you want to do some operation sequentially, let's say suppose you are opening a web browser, you are logged into the web browser, you are clicking somewhere in some button in the web browser, and then you are going to log out your browser. So these are the sequence things. Sequentially you can perform this, but it is not mandatory you should always use a sequence. So basically the flow chart is, if suppose if you need some calculation, some logical decision, let's say for example you want to log in your web page. Once you log in, the main home page is loading, right? Suppose it is loading. So in this case, how your bot get to know that your web page has been completely loaded? So in this case, you can identify from your home browser. So in the home browser, there will be some element, some button or something. You can wait for that element to appear. Once it appears in the home page, then your bot get to know, okay, the page has been loaded properly. So in this, we have to take some decision to check the elements are appearing or not. So in this case, you have to do some retry option, retry mechanism. Retry mechanism is nothing but, like, you have to give the retry, let's say suppose 10 times, it will retry to the 10 times and watch the whether the element is appear or not. So this is something like operation, some logical operation. So in this logical operation, you can perform flowchart, even though you can also perform the logical operation in sequence also. But like, if you perform complex logical thing in the sequence itself, then there would be some code would not going to be readable, right? So it's for the maintenance purpose, and the costing and all the things are going to be high if you deal with the huge large process and with a complex logical thing, and you implement it in the single sequences. So like it's not recommended to use the logical thing in the sequence. It's not recommended, but you can perform this operation with the help of sequence also. But the better option is a flowchart. If you want to take some decision, if you want to take some logical operation, then you can perform the flowchart. So, and also inside the sequence, you can also create a flowchart also, and inside the flowchart, you can create sequence also, vice versa. So later on, like I'll go with the flowchart. Let me complete this email read operation with the help of the sequence. So I'm going to create one sequence and I'm going to create a new process over there. And one more thing, in RPA or like the people are talking about the reusable component. So what exactly the reusable component is? So reusable component is nothing but like if you got a project, right? So in that project, first of all, the developers are will find the opportunity of the reusable component. So once they got the opportunity of reusable component, they develop the reusable component, and later on in the development part, they can hand over the reusable component and anyone can use that particular reusable component. For example, in email, if you want to read email, right, and download the attachment, so this is the common process, right? So this common process is going to be reusable component. Why it is reusable component? Because like if you are doing some project and I am also doing some other project, in our project, in the both project, the common thing is read email and download attach. It's not feasible that you are also going to develop the same code. So better is like one person can develop a reusable component and anyone can use that particular component. So this is the very common concept everywhere, the reusable concept or library, you can say. In .NET, if you see the DLL file, in Java, it is a jar file. So these are all the reusable components thing. Similarly, we can develop our reusable component in UiPath 2. And also there is one more thing, like there is a custom reusable component. So let's say suppose if you are dealing with UiPath activities, there's a lot of activities in the UiPath. Let's say suppose there is some scenario in which scenario you are not able to perform particular operation with the help of UiPath inbuilt activities. So in this case, you have to take support from .NET. So they have in .NET, like you can develop your code, right, and publish and create your package. Even though like this is the advanced thing, and later on I'll definitely show you how to create a package and how to write a code in .NET also if you do some certain amount of operation. So after publishing the package, you can import that package in the UiPath, and that automatically become the activities. This RC, that is a reusable component, read email. So once you publish the package, and you can import that package into the UiPath, and once you import the UiPath, that package become activities. Same activities like the inbuilt activities in the UiPath. Similar activities you can develop your own. Like this is nothing but known as custom reusable component, you can say. So either two way we can develop the reusable component. First is with the help of this XAML file. XAML file is nothing but a code in what we are doing here, what I am going to develop the reusable component. And the second thing is your custom package, right? If you go here, see here the manage package. Once you click on the manage package, so these are the packages. This is the inbuilt packages. This package is been published by UiPath itself. And if you want to install some packages, nothing but the activities. If you want to install some extra activities, you can also perform that. Let's say suppose the UiPath system activities, there is the description over there. Once you install, you can easily use all the functionality of this. Similarly, if you want to create your own custom utility, and you can also import from here. I'll also show this. This is something advanced topic. So let me go for the activities, and we'll try to develop a reusable component of email. So I have Outlook email installed in my machine. So for creating a code, I'm going to create a sequence over sequence.
Yeah, so the reusable component must be in .NET environment. Not can we not use in Java?
No, we can use Java also, Python also, but only we can create our package, nugget package in .NET only. Because like this UiPath is built on .NET platform, so we can create our own package in .NET itself. But for the Java, we can write a code in the UiPath, and then we can invoke this. But we are not able to use the jar file and all the things in the UiPath.
Oh, you mean the activities? I mean, just like a lab sequence or whatever flowchart we can create and then we can use. Okay.
So I'm developing this reusable component, and after developing this reusable component, I'll hand over to you, and you have to call that. So let me first create read email functionality. Here I'm creating the sequence and just renaming here read email. It's the best practice to rename your sequence and all the things, right? So that like in the troubleshooting, you are easily able to find the root cause and all the things. So here I have created one sequence, and inside the sequence there's one activities in the Outlook which is known as get Outlook mail message. So this is the get Outlook mail message. So this get Outlook mail message will get your all messages, email into the output file, output object. I'll show you how to configure the get Outlook mail. Here in the right side, in the property pane, if you see here, the timeout section. So default timeout is around 30. So it is 30 seconds, right? So what does it mean? Like once the get Outlook mail message invoked, it will contact to the Outlook server, so that it will get the email or download the email from the Outlook server. So the timeout section is like it will wait for 30 seconds. The get Outlook message is unable to pick the data from your Outlook server within the 30 seconds, then it will give you error. So this is the maximum timeout section. Default timeout section is 30 seconds, even though we can write our own timeout section here, always in the milliseconds, right? So if I select this 5000, that means it is 50 seconds. So likewise, you can your own timeout section, or you can make it default. As of now, I'm making it default for 30 seconds. And the account name. So account name is nothing but the account which you configured. Even though like if you're not writing here the account name, let's say suppose account name is dot so entering your account name, it by default will pick your account. So as of now, I'm not giving anything in the account. So the default account is going to be, and the inbox is a mail folder. It is a default one. If you have some shared mailbox, then you can also write here the shared mailbox name. So as of now in the Outlook, it is a default name is inbox. So same default name inbox over there. It's a mail folder. Now private thing, what exactly the private thing is. So private is nothing but like like click on this. That means your all information is going to be logged into the database like SQL database. If the SQL database is integrated with your UiPath, then it automatically logs your this activities information to this. So it is recommended if your data is not secure, then you can log that information into the database. If it is secure, then you should not check this option. So, and this is the filter. So filter is nothing but like, if you want to filter, if you want to get the email with the email receipt time, let's say suppose I want to get the email from date 12 December to 14 December, then only I'll get the email between this filter. In the filter, you can apply the filter if you have anything, and mark as read. That means once your data is downloaded, that means your message is downloaded, then you can make it read or unread. Like if I click on the read, that means like if your message is unread, it automatically read. So your bot will going to be read. So you can also select this option. This is up to you, like depend upon the projects, and only the unread message. So that means if I click on this, then definitely it will pick the email which is only unread. And this is the top 30. It will take the top 30 and you can change it to top 10 or top 50, anything. And whatever the message will going to be saved in this Outlook, you have to create the output here. Let's say suppose all message. I'm entering here, and in the variable you will see a list of mail message. That means it is a collection, right? Because there would be a lot of email, and that email is going to be stored in somewhere. That means it should not be in the variable. In variable it is not possible, because if you have 50 email messages, then how you store the 50 message in the variable? So it is going to be saved in the collection, and I'll show you. So here I have given the get Outlook mail message, and in filter this is again some small advanced topic, and once I perform this operation, I'll also show you how to apply the filter. There's some query part, and for that particular query part, I'll also share you how to write a query and all that, because like query is something like that, it's a whole world, and there's a lot of possibilities in the query. So I'll also explain you how to write the query over there. And okay, so as of now I have selected the mail folder inbox, unread, only the unread mail, right, and the top 50. So once I silently execute it, right, but it is stored in the all messages. Now we are going to loop it out and find out the email subject line. So matching email subject line. So let me go over there here. Now I perform the get Outlook mail message operation. Now for the for each loop, the control. Okay. So now for each item in my output all messages, right? So I have to write here all messages. Okay. Now I need to apply a filter or condition. You can say the subject line, which contains some matching subject line. So let's say suppose I want to fetch the data which having the subject line test. So here I'm going to give a if condition. And one more thing here, it's important to notice here, like in all message, once I click on this all message here in this box, there is a type argument. So always remember the type argument. You have to change the type of the argument. So here we are going to read a subject, right? Email subject. That means we need to change it and go to the browse and then just type the system.net mail, right? Now you have to select the mail message, because we are going to deal with the mail message. So there could be the one more thing like attachments. If you want to download attachments, you have to select this one. Otherwise, if you want to deal with the mail messages, then you have to select on this mail message, right? I'm going to click on the mail message over there. Now I have selected the mail message. Now in the if condition, I'm going to give the if condition the subject line which will contains the name of the subject. So in the if condition, I'll go for the item, the first item dot. Once you click on the dot, there is a lot of properties of the email, right? Because we have selected the object types system.net.mail.message in this part, right? So it will show me all the properties of your email. So in item, if you click, so attachments, BCC, body, everything. So we are going to select the subject. Subject dot contains, even though you can even implement the equal also, because and if you type equals, that means your subject line should be case sensitive. But in contents, like it's not important. Okay. Now I'll here, if you see the function string dot contains value as string as boolean. That means inside the parameter, I have to give a string value and the return type would be the boolean, because in the if condition we always need a boolean, right? If it is true, then do this operation, otherwise if it is false, then so this is the idle function, because we have to get the output as a boolean. And here I'm going to give string name. So let's say suppose I'm not going to provide any hardcode thing, right? So let me create a variable in the argument section, because I'm going to develop this reusable code. Argument section, I'll provide input, naming of variable and all the things. UI as per the UIPath standard coding guidelines, right? So if I want to give input, so I have to start from the in underscore and then camel casing subject line. So this is the camel case, and the argument type would be the string. Now, as of now, I'm going to give a default value here. Now, if try to pass a value to this, you have to remove this. As of now, I'm giving the default value here. Okay, and I need to select the input in underscore subject line. Let me copy this. Now it is okay. Now the subject line which match, if the subject line matches, then what to do? If subject line match, then we need to download the attachment of that particular subject line, right? So if in the then condition, if it is true, then again I need to give a for loop to find out the attachments, right? So let me give the for loop here. Okay, fine. So in for loop, try to change this item as attachment. You can also change, right? This is up to you. You can write over there attachment. Now in attachment, how to deal, like item dot this attachments. Here the attachments comes in. So now I am going to iterate for the attachments only. So it will iterate for attachments of this subject line. Now I need to find out the extension of the attachment, because you know, like the attachment could be XLS file or text file. I only need the attachment which is XLS file. So in this case, you have to again give the if condition. If condition, you can write there if path is inbuilt function path dot get extension of what attachment like is this the attachment here. Let me copy this. Attachment dot name. Okay, let me check why it is not giving me item dot. Okay, path dot get extension attachment. Okay, so when I iterate with this for loop, once I click on this in the for loop here, if you see the type of argument is object, but we need to select system.net.attachments, right? Because we are dealing with attachments, so that's why it is not giving the property of the attachment name, right? So let me change it from the browse for the types, right? And then system dot here we need to select the attachments. Right? Let me select on the attachments here. Now dot button, it will give, now it is showing me name, right? Name. So path dot get extension, that means extension of the attachment, and the name of the attachment is equal to something like dot xls. So now this is my input parameter. So I'm not going to give the hard code over there. I need to create argument in the input like in attach format. Select the in. So once we found this attachment, email attachment, then we need to download, we need to save the attachments, right? So in that case, we have to save in some folder, location. We have to write some command like path exists. There is the inbuilt command. If path exists, that means in the folder, let's say suppose I'm going to give a path, hardcode path. So path exists, that means if if this path is not exist, in that case now the output of this path exist here. If you see here exist, so I'm going to create a variable is path exist. Now it will give me a true or false result. If you see here in the variable, so it is a boolean. So if the path is not exist, in that case it will give you false, otherwise it will give you true, because like we have to know whether the particular criteria is matching or not, right? So I'm giving the path exist or not. So now I'm going to give if condition. The if condition here, if path is exist, that means if is path exists, that means it will give you true or false. If it is true, then save the attachments. Save attachments here. All the like everything, all the activities are there in the UIPath. So path would be like this is the item, right? Then the attachment path location. So let me use this. So now again this is my input parameter, right? This is the path. So again I'm going to give an argument here, input attachment path location. Okay, so this is my input and I'm going to use a string. So here I'm going to replace this with path location, and the path location would be, and writing here. Okay, fine. And the same thing, like the item is nothing but the item. This is the item, right? So item dot, so it will download the attachments, right? So where to download the attachments? Inside the attachment path location. Let's say suppose if path is not exist, in this case we are going to throw an exception, and the custom, that would be the custom exception, because we know why we are using the custom exception, because we know the maybe the path could be changed, right? Maybe the your, if you are mapped the shared drive and that particular shared drive is not available, there could be happen, right? There was situation can be happen. So in this case we have to throw the exception, right? If you click on the drag and drop the throw, and in this so like like there could be the two exception. First is system exception and second is the business exception. For me this is the business exception because the path is not found, right? I'm going to create a business exception. So how to create the business exception? You can simply write the new and then business rule exception, write your exception, path not found. Okay, so that means we need to encapsulate, because like if you are going to throw anything, you have to first encapsulate your whole code in the try catch. Without try catch you're not able to throw anything. Okay, so I'm giving the here the system exception. I'm selecting. Now I just want to give a message box, or you can directly write a log, the exception logs, right? So here I'm just typing the exception dot message dot toString. So it will prompt me if any exception comes in. Okay, now let's go to the business rule exception. Okay, fine. So our code has been developed, and in the argument section there could be the three input types: subject line, attachment format, and attachment path location. So now I just want to create a message, email message. Let me create here test attach file. If anything XLS, then I'll show you. Okay, fine. To send an email. Let me send. Okay, fine. Now I got here. Okay, so I'm going to change some configuration. Okay, fine. So here the configuration is marked as red. Successfully get the email, then it will mark as red, and only the unread mail and top 50. So let me try to execute and let's observe what exactly the output would be. Okay, let me run this. Fine, it is unable to get the record, and the get outlook mail message unable to find the subject line, which is start with the input subject line. Okay, the test, let me check, let me analyze what exactly the wrong here. Input dot subject, okay, line, okay, fine. Okay, let me try some because like I just simply write here subject dot toString dot contains the subject line. Fine. So let me try this again. Okay, let me check. Okay, so what's wrong here? Why it is not able to find the attachments? Okay, so let's investigate. If item dot subject contains subject line, Okay, let me debug this. What exactly debug? Okay, in the debug output, let's analyze what exactly. Let me. Okay, so mail executing, sequence try catch. Okay, read email executing. So get Outlook mail executed, for each executed, read email close. So everything is executed, but like it unable to find the subject line. So that's why it skipped. So okay, let me again change it to contains, and then let me do for the hard code. Let me try this. Okay, let me try one more thing here. The get Outlook mail. Let me give the account name. Okay. The specified folder does not exist. See the message box over there, what we have written. I guess it is successfully now successfully. No, it is still not. Outlook mail message faulted here. So the specified folder does not exist. See this kind of similar exception you are going to definitely encounter. So this is the common issue why it is showing me this specified folder does not exist. So what is the specified folder over there? So like this Outlook mail message is talking about your account name. So it is unable to identify the account name. So that's why it is giving me error. So let me do one thing. Let me remove my account name here. And I'm going to close this Outlook. Now let's try it. Okay, execute it. Download it or not? Unable to download. Open the Outlook again. Still it is okay. It is XLX. Okay, fine. Let me change to XLX file. The test is fine. Let me check here. The subject contains test. Okay. Okay, fine. Let me execute again. Here the my subject line is in all in smaller
Okay.
case. Things. Okay, let me first try to figure out what exactly the content is. So let me figure out. Going to give a message box over there and try to figure out what are the subject it is fetching. Item dot subject dot toString. So let me check. It is not getting any message in the all message. In the output, in the get Outlook message, it is not fetching anything in the all message. Because of this, it is not going inside this loop. So for this, I'll show you a proof why it is. Let me go to the message box. Now I try to find out whether this output list or collection having the zero or non-zero value. So let me select this dot count dot toString. We'll try to get whether the email is stored in this or not. So let me execute. If it is zero, that means it is unable to fetch. See, this is the zero. That means it is not fetching the record email from the server. That's why it is not going inside the for loop. But the reason is why it is not fetching, because this all configuration is correct, top 50 marked as red because we have a lot of unread message also. Create a process similar to this, and now you have to create a sequence, and you just need to invoke work file, right? So I already explained how to invoke. Again, I'm going to show you. So invoke work file, right? And you need to point the reusable component location. So for this, I'm just going to click on this RC read email. I'm just selecting on this XAML file. Now I ready to invoke. So before this, we have to import. We have to, like, by clicking on the import argument, automatically it imports the arguments, right? So that same argument be configured in the RC code, in reusable code. So now from here you can write that, you can pass the message, that is the code test attachment format dot xls and the path location if you want, like anything. So, and let me delete the default values of the older one. So once you get this read email, you can remove the value from the arguments, right? What I did in the RC code. So let me execute. So now this code has been reusable. Anyone can call and anyone can consume the operation and can perform the operation without redeveloping the code. Okay, so now our next part is I'm going to show you how to record and how to log in a screen, how to log in a web application, how to record a web application. It's very interesting and very simple thing in RPA, and believe me, 70% part is only for this, like web automation and desktop automation kind of thing. So it's very simple and very interesting thing. So let me create a one process, logging web application. So now I'm going to do some flowchart operation over there. Even though you can select the sequence, and inside the sequence you can create a flowchart, or inside the flowchart you can create the sequence. If you select the sequence here, now in the flowchart, once I double click on this, or is automatically giving the start, right? So this is something like kind of flowchart thing. So that's why it is by default giving me a start. Now I want to log in. I want to log in an application, web application. This is my web application. Let me open this web application. It is okay. Now I'm going to log in this application, and after login, I have to click in some button on the home page, right? So how to, first of all, how to open or how to launch the web browser? So in the flowchart, you can write open browser. This is the command. If you select this open browser, now you have to join this. In the open browser, once I double click on this, okay, so the URL you have to paste. So again, I'm giving this hard code, and you can also give, if it is going to be, if you suppose this is going to be reusable, then you can provide in the arguments, right? So in the open browser, you can open with the URL and do some operation. So what exactly I'm going to do here, I'm not going to do anything. I just back to the flowchart. Once I open this, I need to log in the web page. So for login, I'm going to create a sequence. It is named as login. Now double click on the login. Inside the login, there's a two-way to record your web application. I'll show you. It's automatically recording thing. In the design, if you go the recording part, right? If you select on the recording, there is a lot of recording types. If you want to record the web application, you have to select the web application. If you want to record the desktop, then you have to record the desktop, right? So as of now, I'm going to create a recording of the web application. I'm just selecting on this now and then press on the record button, and with Alt tab button, I'm going to select because I need to record the login name and the password and the login button. Right? So I'm going to record here with the help of web recording. Click on the record button. Okay, so it is, like if you hover your mouse, then you are able to see the image, and there in the left side, if you see the cursor position and the dimension and all the things, right? So once you click on this, because I need to record the username. Once I click on this, so it will ask me something, right? Whether it is a type password or a simple username. So if you suppose I am giving here the username, you have to write like this, email.com. Now hit enter, right? See this automatically writing, right? If you want to feed the password, you can simply click on this, and this is the password. So we want the mask field, so we have to select the type password. Select the password, hit enter. Okay, now if you want to save and exit, so you can click on the save, so it automatically records. See, this is the automatic recording way, right? If you go down, you're able to see this automatically. It will record the username and the password. It automatically get the password, right? And then record, right? So this is the auto recording. But the alternative way of this, you can also do this the same operation with the help of, let me delete this, or let me disable this activity, and I'll show you manually how can we perform this. Sequence is nothing but like you have to categorize inside the flowchart. I was in login button, right? In the login, because like you are going to type something, so you have to, if you want to, if you are going to type anything in the web page, then in this case you have to select the type into, right? So drag and drop the type into, and this is the link which shows the indicate on the screen. That means we have to indicate which part we need to automate. So once I click on the indicate on the screen, so it is, I want to like automate this. I want to capture, I want to spy, I want to record this. So once I click on this, the button, it automatically captures, right? And here the type name, you have to write your login name. The important part is in the right side. If you see that inside the target, there's a selector. This is like is very important part, how your UiPath able to identify the object, because this is nothing but an object. This is like your username, your any web elements, like any desktop elements are treated as an object. So how it identify the object? See, the object, there is some mandatory properties of the object. The mandatory properties is nothing is like ID, name of the object, ID of the object, and label name and the tag. So this I'll show you how how the UiPath is fetching this elements. This is nothing but a HTML file, right? So if you want to investigate manually, you can go to your web browser, right, and right click on this now, or press F12. If you press F12, right, and if you see, this is the bracket, small bracket in the corner, you can simply click on this and you can target the element. Let me show you what exactly I'm trying to explain here. Let me open again. Okay, now I'm going to right click on this. You can also select the inspect element. Once you click on the inspect element or F12, you can select on this square bracket. Okay, fine. So now, like it is capturing, right? Similar way, like UiPath is also doing the same thing. Once I highlight this email address, once I click on this, if you see here, maximize this window. Okay, so it is highlighted over there. This is your properties of your elements, right? So what is the property? The first is input is tag. Name of the input is tag. This is input. This is nothing but a tag. Name of your screen is a username, right? And if you see the ID also, let me go for ID. I'll show you what. Okay, ID is input email. Same thing. This UiPath has captured here. ID is input email, tag is input. Even though you can also select multiple properties also, because like if you get successfully ID, then you are done. You are able to capture it, right? Because ID is very important and mandatory properties. If your UiPath unable to find the ID because of some reason, then you can go over the name and all the things. And even though like you can select the additional tag also, right? How to select the additional tag? You can click on the open in UI Explorer. Once you open this, because like this is the core part of your web automation. If you are not able to identify the elements, then your code is going to be failed. It unable to recognize your object. In the right side, if you see, the AA name is email address. AA name is nothing but a label. This is the email address. This is the which is identified as a AA name. Now, if you so even though like if you have a ID, it's enough. No need to select this one. This all the dependent properties. And as of now, I'll just want to show you a demo. So that's why I have selected this AA name and username, other things, right? So let me copy this. This is home XPath. This is nothing but a XPath, right? I'm going to paste this, right? So now you have ID, name, and all the things, right? And this is the title of your web browser, name of the title, right? Cross browser testing app, cross browser testing app, right? And I'm going to select. Similarly, if you want to type a password, then you have to select this type secure password here. And similarly, you can also perform the same thing. The password. Okay, the secure text input. In input, you can write the password. Okay. Okay, let me check. Okay, it is not able to convert. Okay, let me retry this again. Input into. This time I'm going to select the help of input into. Now I'm going. Okay, fine. Now it is working fine. Okay, fine. So the space over there. Okay, fine. Now I have to click on the button, login button. So same thing, like you have to go to click, mouse click, and indicate on the screen, and I'm going to capture this login button. Once I capture, let's observe in the selector what exactly we got. So okay, fine. So we got ID, so we are good to go, because ID is nothing but a kind of primary key. If you got the ID, it's easy to automate, right? So this is now I just created a sequence. Inside the sequence, I have created the flow chart. In the flow chart, I am giving the open browser, login browser, like if login fails, then we have to iterate some retry option and all the things I'll show in the later section. Why I have chosen the flowchart, because like once I log in, then I have to click on the home page. But how my bot get to know that the home page has been loaded properly or not? So in this case, I have to capture some element from the home page and will retry this option whether this element is existent or not. So this kind of looping thing we have to perform inside the flowchart. So let me try to execute this, and I'm going to let me close this browser. Going to debug mode. Okay. Open browser executing. It's loading, right? Clicking login button. So this is loading, right? So in between, if suppose after login, you have to capture some element in the home page, and still it is loading. So in this case, your code is going to be failed. So for this, we have to do something like to retry this and wait for the element to appear. Once the elements appear, that means like we get to know that the page has been loaded properly. So this page is loaded properly, and going forward, like we're going to click on this some elements and all the things, and I'll show you how to handle all the situation in the flowchart itself, as well as we are going to use the sequence also. If you see here, inside the sequence, we have embedded the flowchart, and inside the flowchart, we have embedded the sequence too. So this is the vice versa.
Just a quick info guys, Intellipaat does provide end-to-end training on RPA tools like UiPath and Automation Anywhere. So if you are interested, you can check out the course details given in the description below. So this brings us to the end of this session. If you have any queries, please leave a comment down below and we'll reach out to you immediately. Thanks for watching guys.